Right, we are back. Another college confessions edition of Your Relationship Sucks. These are the best thing that we do. This is the best thing that I've ever done in my entire life. I haven't done a lot of things in my life, but this is definitely the best thing.
Clearly.
For sure. Again, these are questions from young, dumb kids who are doing young, dumb things. We're just trying to help people out who've done these dumb things. You can see this on a podcast. We'll put this out. We got all our other episodes, all that other stuff. We're gonna put it out there, so you can go find that wherever they are. It's Your Relationship Sucks podcast. You can see it there. You can check out our other videos, all that stuff. But anyways, let's jump into it. Again, you're gonna break it down for us. You got something good. I haven't seen any of these, so this is all off the cuff. This is just whatever comes to my mind. You're gonna surprise me. I'm gonna give you my opinion. We'll talk it out. We'll see what's going on. But let's try and help some young kids. Let's do. We're going to do kind of our first impressions here. First impressions of whatever you have. So hit me with it. What do you got for today?
Today I have, should me, 19-year-old male, and my girlfriend, 19-year-old female, consider going separate ways? What is your first impression?
Yes, 1,000%. Yes, absolutely, 1,000%. There's
okay.
Zero. I'm not even sure I need to hear the rest of the question. Honestly, this might be a short episode.
For starters, yes, we're both very young, and the only reason I take this seriously is that I take our relationship very seriously. We've been together for about 4 years already, and things have always been great.
Okay.
So, as of right now, I plan on joining the U.S. Army for about 3 to 4 years.
Yes, absolutely. Go different ways. Absolutely, 100%. That shit ain't gonna survive, dude. That's just not gonna survive. But go ahead, keep going.
She would not be coming with me. When I get out of the Army, I plan on being a first responder, where my life would be put at a risk fairly regularly. Both of these jobs have been passions of mine since I was 14. And I'm not dropping any of these anytime soon. She has known this since she first met me. She has always known this. And now I'm about to leave for the Army in the next couple of months. She feels that she would not be able to be by my side through all of this.
Okay.
And for reference, we have plans to be together. That's a point of dating. I mean, we didn't even start anything sexual till later in the relationship because we just care about each other. We don't get in fights. We don't ever get into stupid bullshit team drama arguments. None of that. Just honest. And if we do encounter a speed bump, we work through it. And there have been other things that have bonded us very closely that I won't get into detail as it is not relative.
Does he say the word relative?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a word to use, I guess. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
But she wants me to essentially not do any of these career paths in my life and do something else. But I feel like if I did that, I would eventually regret the decision and resent her. Yes. I feel like she is kind of overreacting, as she is definitely crying about all of this, but I feel it's fair. She wants to settle down, have kids and whatnot, and I want to do the same, but I'm just not sure what to do here.
Oh, okay. That's the end. That's the question. His question is, what does he do, I guess? Okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So maybe I just didn't understand what was happening. She said that she can't be with him at the time. Is that because they're too dangerous? Is that what I'm understanding? Like the job is too dangerous? I think so.
I think she might fundamentally have like a little bit of a problem with the career choices because
it's a safety
they're
thing.
dangerous. Yeah, you got maybe a safety thing, or maybe I don't know, because he didn't really say explicitly why she was uncomfortable. Like, I couldn't tell if she wanted him to do something like be a lawyer, or like had an issue with like the lifestyle that they would live together. Like, that didn't seem like it. It seemed like the risk taking was the issue. And maybe like the being away from each other and the Army, that might be something too, which I don't think her response didn't seem like unreasonable.
Okay, so number one, the things that have bonded you that aren't relevant apparently to the discussion about whether or not you have a strong bond would be good to know what those are, right? Not because I need to know any details of your life or whatever. Like, that's fine. I still give you advice based on what I know, which is not much because, like, you didn't really say anything. But, well, okay. So this sort of ties in with the second thing that he said, right? He's like, he tried to sound all mature, right? Again, I fucking love young kids who try to sound mature, whatever. Like, oh, we don't have trauma, bullshit, teenage argument fights, whatever. Well, first of all, if you're telling me that you don't fight at all, like if you just don't fight, like if you don't get heated with each other, I kind of don't trust you as people. I guess like that's sort of my take on that. Like, I think you should. I think at some point you guys should yell at each other, like at least a little bit. That's just me. That's just me.
I know.
I think that's
I
how
tend
that
to
works.
agree too. I've always said if people are like, if you're in disagreement and you're still willing to argue or fight about it, you still care a little. I'm not saying you should be fighting all the time, but like there's a point when, you know, if you're always not getting heated about your side of things, or you're just going along with the other person, you're also at a point where you don't care as much about yourself. And, you know, maybe I'm like getting too into it, but like it's kind of
I'm pretty sure that's probably true. But like, here's the thing. Like, this is a guy who wants to sound like he's grown up, right? Like, we are in a grown up relationship. First of all, dude, this is your first relationship, right? Like, this is your first one. Like, whatever. Like, oh, by the way, we put off physical stuff until later. Okay, dude, I get it. Like, that's cool. You want to sound mature, like whatever. You know, like he's basically saying like we have this real deep connection.
They've been together for 4 years and they're 19. They started with they were like 15. Like you putting off physical stuff was
that's fine, dude. I mean, good
due to your age. You know,
cool, dude.
Go without.
Yeah, I mean, like that's great.
At like 25.
Yeah, like that's great, dude. I mean, you know, whatever. But like, he wants to sound evolved, right? Like, this is somebody who wants to sound evolved. You know what I mean? Like, he's honestly, he kind of sounds like a pompous asshole. Like that's what he sounds like. Because he's like, look, we're so refined and we have all these things. We don't have 19-year-old problems and all these things. The other thing that he said, which actually kind of pissed me off when he was like talking about how refined and mature his relationship was we don't disagree, and when we do, we work through them, right? No, you don't, bro. This is a real fucking problem that you have. Yeah. Doesn't sound like you've worked through it. I don't know what to tell you. Sounds like you still got some fucking work to do on this one, right? So get off your fucking high horse about how fucking involved your relationship is and all that shit, right? Like you're asking, this is the biggest problem in your relationship. I mean, like honestly, think about that. Like this is the biggest problem in your relationship. You have not worked through this. By definition, you can't say that you work through your problems if you haven't worked through the biggest problem in your relationship. You just can't do it. I'm sorry, you can't. So understand that, right? Like you're not that mature. It is what it is. Like whatever. The real problem here, honestly, the real problem is if it's a safety thing, which is what I'm going to assume. I don't know why. That's kind of how he made it seem. Again, if you're going to write something like this, you're going to be mature. You're going to do those things. Learn how to fucking write details that actually matter. You know, what specifically does your girlfriend not want you to do with these things? Now, the implication and the what I'm taking, what I'm going to assume when I answer this is that it's a safety thing. Like she's worried for his safety. She doesn't feel that she can stand by. And maybe there's with the military, maybe there's a little something like he's far away or whatever. But I think most of it is like, I am scared that you might die. And that's not something that I want to do. Right. And so that's the assumption that I'm making. If that's not true, your fault, bro. Learn how to fucking write better. I don't know what to tell you. Like, just learn how to form sentences that make sense. Right. The problem is, right. Like I have buddies who are first responders and all of those things. The problem with having a relationship with somebody who's not okay with that is that they will never be okay with that. Right? Like that's not something you can't learn if you're not okay. If you're uneasy about it, that's one thing. If you're not okay with it, you'll never be okay with it. You just won't. Like you just won't. If you're uneasy with it, which is a very different thing. Trust me, it's a very, very different thing. And maybe she's just uneasy. I don't know. But she needs to figure that out. Like you need to find out, is she uncomfortable? Is she not okay with it? Or is she just uneasy about it? If she's uneasy about it, then you can kind of go in there, right? Like I know some people who are like, yeah, whatever. Like it's fine. I know other people are like, yeah, I still worry, but it's not a big deal. All those sorts of things. That's where it is. Okay. But like for this guy to be so involved in all these things, it's like, I'm not giving up my dreams for this girl. Right. And look, man, I'm not telling you that you should. I'm saying, like, think about what you're saying, right? Like, think about what you're saying. You're saying my dreams are more important than you as a person, than your feelings. My dreams, my feelings, my ego is more important than your feelings. Okay? That's kind of a shitty thing to say to somebody. I'm not saying it's not right. I'm not saying you shouldn't follow it. I'm not doing that. I'm saying you have to understand what she's hearing when you're having this fight, right? When you're having these discussions, that's what she's hearing. Because you're saying, this has been my dream. You've known that all along. I'm not doing anything, right? And what she hears is, okay, that thing that you remembered, or the thing that you liked when you were 14, which, by the way, you probably liked a lot of dumb shit when you were 14, but I still like a lot of dumb shit. But 5 years ago, 25% of your life ago, when she said, when you said, hey, you know, I really like this thing when you met, right? And I've liked it since last year, okay? And now she's looking and she's saying, hey, you remember that thing that you liked when you were 14? And then all the stuff that we've gone through, including apparently the shit that's bonded you that isn't important enough for you to fucking mention, and it's not relative to the fucking conversation, fucking moron. It's not relative to the conversation, but somehow it has bonded you. You know what she hears? She goes, yeah, you remember all that shit that you didn't feel like telling people that might actually help answer this fucking question? None of that means a goddamn thing, because it still matters what you cared about when you were fucking 14 years old. That's what she hears. That's what she hears. She said, all the shit we've been through, all the stuff we've gone through, all the things that have bonded us, all the things that I mean to you don't mean a goddamn thing because you're willing to throw it all away for some fucking thing that you knew that you had when you were a dumb 14-year-old. That's it. That's what she hears. That's insulting. Okay? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the military. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the fire or police or whatever, like whatever he wants to be. I don't know. You said something like that, but something dangerous,
so we don't
right?
really know.
So, yeah. So like, if you want to do that, that's fine. What I'm saying is, learn how to respect somebody when you're arguing with them, right? For how fucking evolved you are with your arguing and how fucking mature you guys are or whatever, you sound like a fucking clown when you're arguing with her. Like, you're so oblivious to what she's hearing from you that it's almost embarrassing, honestly. Like, it's almost embarrassing to listen to you say these words and not understand the impact that they might actually have, right? Like, you were saying all this stuff, like, look how self-aware I am. I mean, seriously, go back and read your fucking question. Go back and read it, man. The whole thing is basically an argument about how goddamn self-aware you are. And what you're saying to this girl is, hey, you know, the last 4 years that we done didn't mean shit because something I liked 5 years ago. That's it. I mean, honestly, that's what she hears, right? So I'm not saying she's right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying understand how you're arguing if you actually want to get through this, right? Should you go your separate ways? Yes, you should, if she's not okay with it. If she's uncomfortable and you want to try and you want to say, hey, look, we can make this work. We still love each other. We want to do these things. You know, it's 4 years, whatever in the military, I guess it's 4 years. And, you know, we can do some stuff and, you know, whatever. I mean, it's not like you can't be together while you're in the military. Like, that happens all the time. So,
no, and then once you get married, there are certain more privileges and stuff. So, they, you know, they might get married sooner. You know, like, they've been dating for 4 years. It's not like they just started dating. Like, it's possible all the time. Right.
No, but I'm saying like, you know, like, you could be together, like, you could do things, you could try it out, right? Like, you could try it out, like, you can have those things. But but that's a question to her. Are you, is this a bright line? Is this an absolute no, 100%, and you know for sure? Or are you just uncomfortable with the idea? What is it that you're comfortable with? Can we work on those things? That's what you need to ask her. You need to have that conversation. But you need to stop sounding like a fucking pompous jackass when you say those things, right?
Yeah, because I want to also add, sorry.
No, go ahead.
If she is uncertain and you're willing to both try, and she changes her mind and says, I cannot do this, she also, like, the biggest problem that I had is he made it seem like she was being unreasonable, but she was also being honest, is like, I don't think I can do this. There's a real big difference between, we talked about this the first time when we were 15 years old. Now we're 19 and you're about to be deployed. You might die. The feeling 4 years ago is so far removed from, like, what reality actually will be when that happens, that how would she at 15 years old know how she was going to feel at 19 when you were months from leaving? You know, and she's being honest with you, she's sharing, and he's making it seem like she's known this the whole time. She can't change her mind now. It's ridiculous that she's changing. I mean, he's not saying those words, but
that's actually is what he's saying.
Is making me feel
I mean,
Okay,
literally, that's what he
I
said.
mean,
I mean,
yeah.
sorry, bro. Like, you definitely said that.
If you want to do something that is making who you're with a little uncomfortable, that's one thing. Like you said, if you're doing something where she's going to be having crippled anxiety, she can't see her life being how she wants because she wants a father figure to be more involved with kids. Like, her goals are not aligning with your goals, and that's okay with her too. He doesn't seem like he's open to accepting the fact that she also has hopes and dreams, and maybe the reality of what you're saying is not aligning with her hopes and dreams, and she's not realizing it because you met when you were 15 years old.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. This is what I'm saying, right? Like, you can't, you don't know if he doesn't know if he's going to like the military. He has no idea. He, honest to God, he has no idea. None of us have any fucking clue
No.
until we try something, right? He's not in the military right now. He has no idea. He might fucking hate it. You know, I'd be like, I'm out after a year. I don't know exactly how that works. Like, I don't really know
From
like
what I've
exactly how
heard,
that
the
works.
idea of the military is a lot different than being in any branch of the military.
Right. No. I mean, like, what I'm saying is, like, I don't know, like, once you're in, like, how, like, as, like, the soon as you actually can get out, I'm not really sure, like, how all that works. But either way, he doesn't have a fucking clue how he's going to feel about it. What I'm saying is, he's not even giving her a chance to understand, right? The two of you might want to work on this. You might want to work on this. And it might turn out that you're both okay with it. It might turn out that she's okay with it and you're not okay with it. It might turn out that you're okay with it and she's not okay with it. We don't know. Those are the three possibilities. We don't know the answer to that. When that happens, you can reassess. What I'm saying is, you can't have this conversation. I mean, and again, these were good points that you brought up. Absolutely, I totally agree. But you can't have this conversation with this girl under the assumption that you're being mature, because you're not being mature. You sound like a fucking spoiled brat. You can't. And the way you phrased it was perfect, right? Like, you just listen to what she said again. Like, that was a perfect way to phrase that. You sound like a spoiled brat when you're saying these things. What I'm saying is, you need to have this conversation with her. Like, you absolutely need to have a talk with her about, like, is this something that you want, and yada, yada, like, all that stuff. But you need to understand that she is a person who, it's okay if she doesn't agree and all of those things. And it's okay if you don't agree with her, like, all of that's fine. And it's okay if you guys want to separate and you want to do that, but you need to understand that she has a side of the story that you're not hearing, right? And the side of the story that you think you're telling isn't necessarily the side of the story that she's hearing from you, okay? Yeah. That's a communication problem. And like I'm saying, with all of these things, I mean, seriously, like, just say, I actually think that the most important thing that you wrote was the part that you left out. Honest to God, that's the most important thing, because I actually genuinely need to know what it was that bonded the two of you beyond whatever shit you said. You said it, like, bonded you, like, more than anybody or whatever, and you're like, it's not really relevant. Honestly, it is fucking relevant, dude, because if she feels that same way, again, she's saying, like, man, this guy's just fucking throwing away that bond that we created over those horrible circumstances. Dude, that's, like, the fact that you don't understand, that tells me that you're not good at communicating. You're not understanding. Like, you think you're communicating one thing, right? Like, you think, like, you wrote this whole thing, and you're like, yeah, whatever, you poo-pooed it. You're like, it's not really that important. You think you're communicating with the people that are reading this. And then they read it, and they go, dude, you didn't communicate a goddamn thing because you left out the most important details. So it says to me, you need to work on your communication, but really you need to understand that when you have this conversation with your girlfriend, that you need to basically ask her, what do you think I just said? Right? Like literally, how did you hear what I just said? Because I know, like, what I meant, but what did you hear? Because I may not have phrased it correctly, or I may not have phrased it the way that I thought I did. That's where you need to start. Start there, have a conversation with her, understand where she's coming from. If at the end of the day you guys need to separate, you need to separate. That's the way it goes. You guys will be fine. If you want to stay together, you want to try it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. That's absolutely an option. But you need to understand that communicating with them is more than just you saying some words and then the other person understanding exactly what you meant. Right? That's at the end of the day, that's
people
important.
laugh at the response of, what I hear you saying is,
that's super important. Super important.
But there is no other way, because like you said, and I'm repeating it because it's so important.
Yeah.
we say things and we think they're very clear.
Yep.
And they could be clear to all of our friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when I talk, I have a lot of people who understand my method of talking. They know exactly what I'm saying. And then I talk to other people and they're like, what you just said is ludicrous. And this is not even in the English language.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like dumbfounded that that wasn't understood. But the reality is that I need to then rephrase it
Yep.
in a way that that one person, it could be, you know, 1 in 20. If that person's the person you're in a relationship with, communication is going to be a little bit harder, and it's got to be played back repeatedly.
Yep.
Until you get, it could take more than one time too. I think that that's important. Sometimes it takes more than one time. Sometimes you're frustrated, but it needs to happen. Otherwise, you did not communicate your point, and it's not the other person's fault.
Yep. And I'm going to be honest with you, based on the way that you phrase some of the wording in your message, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you didn't communicate correctly. I'm going to guess it's your fault. You're not getting the point across that you think you're getting across. So figure that part out first. I think that's where you need to start before you can answer any of these other questions.
Yeah.
Again, don't feel bad. We all did dumb shit. We all said stupid things. We all thought we were more mature than we really were. I'm just trying to be honest with you and tell you that you're not as mature as you think you are, and that's okay. But the sooner you recognize that, the easier your life is going to be. I guarantee it. All right. Whoo, man. All right. I think we did it. That was a good question. There's another one. Great. It's fantastic. I love College Confessions. College Confessions are so good. They just ask these incredible questions. It's young, dumb people doing young, dumb things. I love it so much. It reminds me of myself 100%. Like I've done all of these dumb things, or I wish I would have done some of these dumb things. Like these were things that like I aspired to be doing at the time. So I'm glad that we could help out. People have, comments or about this or other questions, other college confessions, or any questions that they want to ask us. They can email us. And what's the email?
The email is info.yourrelationshipsucks@gmail.com.
All right, so you can email us there. You can also comment on the video, whatever. Like I said, you can find our podcast, Your Relationship Sucks. Please subscribe and all that stuff. Whatever you're supposed to do to help us out there, that'd be great. Otherwise, we appreciate everybody listening and watching and supporting and all of that stuff. And we will talk to everybody next time.